And I will now make a statement in my capacity as a representative of the Russian Federation. We would like to express our gratitude to the Undersecretary General Rosemary DiCarlo. Thank her for presenting the semi-annual report on the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2231. We also know the effective work carried out by the permanent representative of the Netherlands, Mr. Karl van Oosterom, who is the facilitator of the Council on the implementation. We would like to thank Mr. Vassily for his briefing as well. We fully agree with the Secretary General when he says in his semi-annual report that he deeply regrets the United States withdrawal from JCPOA and join in with him when he reminds us that the issues which are not within the scope of the agreement should not be used as a pretext for its dismantlement. In this context, we would like to recall that the Russian Federation has many an occasion within the Council condemned the irresponsible attempts by the United States to undermine JCPOA and expressed our hope that reason will prevail and that the issues of global security and stability will cease being held hostage to the political processes going on in Washington. Now, after the United States withdrawal from the agreement, we are compelled to state that our appeals were not heeded and that the unique potential of JCPOA, which was not allowed to become fully operational, is now under threat. Furthermore, the step undertaken by the American side does serious damage to the nuclear non-proliferation regime and to the security interests in the Middle East. Given the significance of the unilateral actions by the United States for the purposes of the implementation 2231 and JCPOA, we were extremely surprised by the fact that this situation is only mentioned in the report in passing. It is completely unfathomable how it was possible to prepare a document which is entitled Implementation of Resolution 2231 without any kind of mention of the fact that the reimposition by Washington of unilateral sanctions is a direct violation not only of its obligations under JCPOA, but the very Resolution 2231 as well. It is also worthy of note that the report, whilst it quotes the call in the resolution to all member states to help implement JCPOA and refrain from actions which could undermine it, at the same time completely ignores the public statements made by the U.S. leadership and leadership of other countries which are at variance with this appeal. We can but be surprised by the fact that there is no mention in the document of the fact that Tehran started the dispute settlement procedures under JCPOA related to the irresponsible actions by the U.S. and the Security Council, and the Secretary General was duly informed of that in the letter sent by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran on the 11th of May. Overall, the report is openly imbalanced in nature and resembles more an unfounded series of accusations against Iran rather than an attempt to paint an objective picture of the situation as regards the implementation of 2231. This approach is all the more incomprehensible since neither one of the examples of the alleged violation by Tehran of 2231 is confirmed because there is insufficient information and there is an absence of any kind of a cohesive body of proof. Once again, we are compelled to report it is unacceptable for the Secretariat to carry out any of their so-called investigations of potential violations of 2231 unless there is a clear mandate for that by the Security Council, as is provided for in Item 6 of the President's note dated 16th January 2016. Once again, we'd like to emphasize the Secretariat staff do not have the needed qualifications and or expertise in order to analyze and assess the missile systems or conventional weapons. Therefore, we are of the view that all of the technical information in the report on studying in Saudi Arabia the component of the missiles which were used to shell Yemen prove nothing and are untenable. On the other hand, there was no independent expertise of the Secretariat findings. Furthermore, the very fact and the timeline of the alleged transferred by Iran of the ballistic missile systems or their components to the Houthis, as is underscored in the report, has not been established. Therefore, the document shows that there is an absence of any kind of constituent parts of a violation. The same applies to the illegitimate inspections carried out by the Secretariat in Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. Because they're in absence of any kind of facts pointing to the violations of 2231, we also have serious questions about the need to mention in the report of the Iran's Defense Industrial Organization participation in the exhibition in Iraq, as well as a mention of a memorandum of understanding between the Had al-Anbiya construction company and Syrian authorities. Once again, we insist that the report should not contain information obtained from open sources or reference to the information provided by individual countries when it's unverified or unverifiable, especially when it is not even being provided to members of the Security Council. We think this kind of practice completely unacceptable and consider it to be a malicious attempt to create, by circumventing the Council, an unfounded negative atmosphere surrounding Iran. Now, in line of the above, would like to yet once again remind the Secretariat that paragraph 7 of this Presidents of the Security Council note of 16th January of 2016 provides for the semi-annual reports on the implementation of 2031 as a whole, not its individual parts. We expect that the future reports will be prepared strictly in line with the existing mandate, and due attention will be paid to all of the activities which are at variance with this decision by the Council, in particular the entry into force of the unilateral measures announced by the United States on the 8th of May. At this point, the only way of preserving the agreement is a conscientious implementation of all remaining member states of the obligations they voluntarily undertook. In this context, I would like to note that the report of the Secretary General is a clear evidence of an unqualified compliance of Iran with the commitments under JCPOA, which is consistently confirmed not just by the IAEA but by the UN Secretariat as well, which, as the document tells us, has no verified proof of the opposite. In conclusion, I would like to state that the Russian Federation remains committed to the complete and comprehensive implementation of the provisions of 2231 and the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And despite the United States withdrawal, the implementation of the JCPOA of all other remaining members at present is continuing in full. I'm now resuming my function as President of the Security Council,